All right, so this is some breaking updates that have come in where India has in fact issued a advisory in the wake of the West Asia tensions. India has advised all nationals in Iran to leave the country. This is the latest bit of breaking update that has come in as tensions between United States and Iran continue to escalate in the Indian Ocean. The Strait of Hormuz are rising by the hour. India has now issued a new travel advisory to Indian nationals. The Embassy of India has released a new circular strongly advising all Indian nationals not to travel to Iran, whether by air or by land. The advisory says that the airspace restrictions and operational uncertainties due to regional tensions continue to affect international flights operating to and from Iran. It has further advised all Indians currently residing in Iran to leave the country through the designated border routes and in coordination with the Indian Embassy. All right, so this, of course, is the latest bit of information that is coming in, where the Indian government has, of course, put out its advisory asking all Indians to not travel to Iran and also asking the Indian nationals currently residing in Iran to leave the country as soon as possible because of the worsening conditions there. And my colleague Molly Gambhir is joining us from the newsroom. Molly, this is a clear development, what has happened the last few minutes. We still do not know what exactly has transpired because the Iranian state news agencies described this to be some kind of a hostile attack over the skies in Tehran for which air defenses have been activated. What are we to read into this?
Indeed, Sally, and remember, this is coming at a very precarious point as far as what's been unfolding between the US and Iran is concerned, the crucial juncture at which point this is unfolding, because remember, the second round of those negotiations have not taken place. At the same time, we've seen heightened rhetoric coming in from the two sides regarding what's unfolding at the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, earlier in the day, we have been reporting about how Iran claimed that it had received the first revenue from the Hormuz toll. That, of course, has been a huge sticking point, remember, between the two sides. So with Iran making that claim, Donald Trump also doubling down and saying that, in fact, essentially saying that mine-sweeping operations are being conducted now at heightened levels in the Strait of Hormuz. According to him, the Strait of Hormuz is under the U.S. control. At the same time, Iran has been claiming control over the strait as well. Parallelly, we've seen how the negotiations have not taken place, and now these fresh explosions that are unfolding at a time when West Asia continues to remain on edge. Remember, we've been talking about how any sort of a move at this point could mean that this conflict spirals out of control. So as of now, we don't know what the source of these fresh explosions really is. So that remains a huge question mark. While we get further inputs, we've just told our viewers, Saleh, about the advisory that's been issued as well by the Indian side regarding the nationals in Iran, asking nationals in Iran to leave immediately. What we do know at this point, for viewers who might just be joining us, the air defense systems, we know, were activated in Iran. This is in parts of Iran. This is on Thursday evening, so just a short while back. Amid reports of hostile aerial activity, Iranian state media has said this is the first such report since the ceasefire started in a way. Now, the IRNA state news agency also saying, I'm quoting, the sound of air defense firing was heard in western Tehran, while the Mehr news agency at the same time is reporting that the systems were activated in several parts of the capital to counter what they are calling hostile targets, quote unquote, without elaborating further. So as you can see, there are a number of question marks here as to what exactly is unfolding on the ground. Of course, limited information trickling in as well, given how sensitive the situation right now is, given that already we've seen a very controlled sort of dissemination coming in regarding the situation on the ground in the country as well. So we have to wait and watch to see if any answers really emerge in a while from now regarding what's exactly unfolding on the ground. Of course, we are keeping a very close eye on the statements that will be coming in. But then again, taking a step back, this is definitely coming at a point where there has been a lot of unease between Iran and the United States. Remember, the first round of talks did not yield any breakthrough. Cut to Donald Trump then extending that ceasefire unilaterally in a way. But at the same time, the kind of heartburn that has existed between the two sides, specifically over the Strait of Hormuz crisis, has been a huge pain point, not just for what's unfolding in West Asia, but for the entire world, given the impact on the energy supplies as well. So right now, it's a very sensitive point, given what we are noticing happening in Tehran. Those images, of course, are extremely telling. Fresh explosions have been heard. Are being reported. We just told our viewers what the local news reports have been saying as well, but we have to wait and watch to see what further details emerge at this point, because right now there is not much clarity about what exactly has led to these explosions.
Indeed, Molly, these are some of the issues that we'll have to wait and watch as to how things unfold. But given the fact that there was a ceasefire that was in place, a very fragile one, but the fact that now there are reports coming predominantly from the Iranian state media, which say that there were hostile targets that were engaged over the skies of Tehran. You know, this changes the entire dynamic of what has been happening, because if there are indeed some attempts at a hostile attacks over Tehran, then this clearly means that one party in this case wants this ceasefire to not exist. We do not know whether this is the Americans or whether this is the Israelis, or whether it is some other third party which may have sent a drone or some other form of an attack that may have been staged over Tehran skies. None of that at this point of time is clear. What is being reported this time is that the Iranian state media says that some hostile targets were engaged by air defense systems. And Wally, given the fact that the second round of negotiations did not happen because the Iranians did not send their delegation to Islamabad, how do you think the Americans are looking at the entire situation where the Iranians clearly believe they have the advantage on the battleground?
Well, it has been a war of narratives as well, speaking of that, Saleh, because the kind of posturing that's been coming in, both militarily and through the statements being issued by the two sides, when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz crisis, when it comes to what's been unfolding overall in the region, you know, the two sides trying to claim that they have the upper hand. In fact, we have been talking about how Iran earlier claimed to have new cards on the battlefield, again at a very sensitive point when the ceasefire earlier was about to expire, after which Trump had then extended that ceasefire unilaterally. So even that move in itself triggered a lot of speculation, a lot of questions about what will unfold from here onwards. Very important to mention here that what we are talking about right now taking place in Iran is coming in from the local reports. So we have to wait and watch as of now what further details trickle in. What we just told our viewers about the advisory that's been issued for the Indians in Iran, that came in a couple of hours ago. And then we've seen these explosions taking place in Iran as per what's been reported right now. So as of now, the air defense systems that were activated in parts of Tehran, which exactly are these parts and what are these hostile targets? Very categorical usage of words here, hostile targets that the Mehr News Agency is talking about.